Hello, welcome to the Let's Talk Kids Health live show, episode 62. I'm Dr. Narissa Bauer, your host. I'm a behavioral pediatrician and CEO of Let's Talk Kids Health. As you know, the concept of this show is to share information about behavioral health, parenting, and family wellness. Now, each week I bring you topics and guests to help me advance this mission so that we can all talk together. Now, let us know you're here by commenting, asking questions, and giving us a like at any time. And in a little bit, your questions will be asked of my guest. The replay will be immediately available after the broadcast. And we're also going to be rebroadcasting each episode every Thursday night at 8 p.m. So you can share this episode with anyone you think who could benefit. Now, if you don't want to miss future episodes or maybe check out the past ones, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Narissa Bauer MD, and follow my blog Facebook page, Let's Talk Kids Health, and join my free parenting discussion group. Now, today's topic is all about the P word, puberty, with Dr. Trish Hutchison. Trish Hutchison is a pediatrician, a nationally recognized health educator, and author. Dr. Trish is the co-founder and chief medical officer of Girlology, a leading wellness app supporting girls and caregivers with personalized on-demand health resources that guide them through puberty and adolescence with confidence. Dr. Trish has authored books for youth on puberty and sexual development. Her most recent publication is a puberty book for everybody, published by the American Academy of Pediatrics, and we are going to hear more about that in a little bit. So, Dr. Trish, thank you for coming onto the show.
Thank you for going through puberty with me today.
I know. I always kind of use that, the big P word, because I think sometimes some parents still are like, no.
I know.
I know. So, but can we just hear from you about why, as a general pediatrician, why did you choose to make this your mission to have parents and kids talking about puberty?
Well, as you know, puberty, periods, anxiety, reproductive health aren't always easy topics for families to talk about. And so that's why we really started Girlology. You know, it's not always covered in the doctor's office because of time constraints. And I have a partner who's an OBGYN and adolescent and pediatric gynecology. And so we would have these questions from parents and for kids, and we got frustrated because we couldn't answer them. So it really was an extension of our busy clinical practice. But we really started off with this beautiful live mom-daughter puberty program. And over the years, it's morphed into this digital health platform. And we have in-the-moment tips to support parents. We have classes on there for kids and parents to watch together, which includes our puberty class if you need it. We have printable resources to spark conversations within the home. And then we have ongoing Girlology TV segments, which you are an awesome guest on, that take a deeper dive into topics that our community moms have really requested. So yeah, these conversations needs to happen. We want to educate kids about their bodies, and we want to help parents and other adults help them have these awkward and difficult conversations.
Yeah, and it's so important. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of why, but can I just say thank you so much for doing the work you do? And when I first met you and Melissa a couple, no, 3 years ago, I think, I was just so drawn to the work you're doing. And, you know, my platform is Let's Talk Kids Health. I really think it is so important, parents, to be having these conversations proactively. And I can say I'm one of those girlologists
Yes, you are.
helping facilitate these workshops. They are so fun. And so, I mean, I've just never had the opportunity to lead workshops like you guys have crafted. So kudos, kudos.
Well, we're so glad you're part of our team.
Well, so let's talk about this. For those parents who are watching and like, okay, let's talk about it. What do parents need to know about how to approach puberty with their children?
So the first thing I'm going to say is talk about it as early as possible. Now, if you have a toddler, that's great because you can start in the bathtub naming proper anatomy for the terms. Practice in the mirror if you need to, vulva, penis, vaginal opening, you all can do it, I promise you. But it's really important to start with that. Now, if your kid's a little bit older and you're like, oh, I haven't done that yet, it's okay. You can take a little switch if you need to. But really try to talk about puberty before their body changes happen. What we found in our live programs is the girls that really haven't had any changes and we talk about them, they are so excited. They're checking for breast bud and they're so excited. But if they've already had negative messages around puberty or they're in the throes of it, they're sometimes just mortified to be sitting there. So it really, really helps to start early. And I promise parents, the more you talk about it, the easier it becomes. So just jump in if you can, right?
Mhm,
So I think
mhm.
that's really important. The other with proper anatomical terms is that it's actually sexual abuse prevention. This is just a sidebar I just want to put in there. We don't want kids to think these body parts are dirty or gross. We want them to name them. But if you teach your kids proper anatomical terms and the privacy around them, this is an essential part of a sexual abuse prevention within your home. So that was a sidebar. Sorry, I had to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. And look at how comfortably Dr. Trish just says, penis, vulva, all those different words, because that's what they're called, right? And I
And I
think,
say it all the time.
yeah. I think, that's one of the things, the beauty of this class. And I love that you said, just start early, just start off, because
Yeah.
the more you normalize it, the easier it gets, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so parents, if you don't understand, girls start puberty anywhere between the ages of 8 and 12. So, and guys are 9 to 14. Girls start normally with a breast bud or pubic hair, most with breast bud, 85%. And with guys, it's a little bit hidden. Their testicles start to grow. So you don't always know. But that's really just, you want to get it in before the age of 8, before the age of 9. And I always hear parents go, she's a late bloomer. I've got plenty of time. But if their friends are going through the change, then they are going to have questions about it, and they need to know that their process is normal as well. So don't use that as an excuse.
Now, things might have been different when some of the parents who are watching. And so my next question is, how should these conversations with our children be different from the one that we probably had as kids, or maybe the one we didn't have?
Yes. Okay. The first thing, have the conversation, right? Parents are often too afraid or embarrassed or unsure about how to talk about puberty because our parents didn't talk to us, right?
Mhm.
My mom totally skipped the puberty talk. And I remember sitting in sixth grade with the reel to reel movie, and they started talking about breast development. And I had already started. So I remember pulling my shirt down to hide my buds. I was so embarrassed. But I hear in my office often that, girls think they have breast cancer when they get these buds. So there's a lot of fear around pubertal development. So if you don't let your kids know what's ahead, they get really, really nervous. So I think it's really important to talk about all those things.
Mhm.
The other is, please take away shame and embarrassment around these conversations. You may have to unpack your own puberty education process and work through it if you had any. But I think this is really important that we just unpack that and we just give them medically accurate information. Periods aren't dirty. Breasts have an amazing purpose of feeding our babies, and masturbation is completely normal in kids. So just watch your delivery when you have the conversation.
Mhm.
The other I think is really important is parents sometimes think they can do the one and done, check it off their list. Boop, boop, I had the talk. But it's actually not true. Puberty takes about 3 to 5 years. So you don't want to rush into everything with one talk. So take small snippets. Why you get breasts. You may start your period. You're going to start to have vaginal discharge. You may have spontaneous erections. Just small little snippets. And it's, as I said, it's not one and done. So be careful with that. And I think one other thing, I don't know about your parenting journey, but parents need to be more active listeners. I think sometimes we have we know exactly what we want to say to our kids, and we don't take the time to listen because kids actually know more than we think they know. And
Mhm.
they have a lot of information on these phones right now that they're searching for. And so you may be trying to have a conversation that they probably already know way too much about. So actively listen and ask questions periodically, and that will help you guide the conversation where it needs to go. Because really, like I said, they may know more than you think they do. We just got
Yeah, no, that's a great reminder. And like you said, active listening, and then, kind of watch them as you're bringing it up, and help, guide the conversation based on their questions, their comments, just so you know how much is like that they can handle in one sitting.
yes,
But I love what you said, bringing it up, not one and done, but sort of, it's a journey. It's a journey.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, again, we sort of alluded to this, but again, I'm just going to bring it up again in case people are tuning in late. So, why are these conversations so important to have with our kids?
Yeah. So one reason that I think is really, really important if you start having this conversation at an early age and they know that you're comfortable with it, then you're going to become the go-to person when they have questions. Kids are curious and they have questions and they want to know the answers. And so I think it's really cool that if you are the go-to person for your kids, then you are going to make sure that they get that medically accurate information and they don't go elsewhere. Because a lot of the words around puberty and bodies, when they put it in their search engine, guess where it goes? Directly to pornography. And so make sure that you do your best to be the go-to person when it comes to their education. Don't count on the schools or churches to do it. You just don't know what message they get there. Repetition is always good. So if they're getting something there, it's awesome. But definitely take that role on. I know it's hard. So I think that's really important. The other the other reason why this is important conversation is it teaches them about their bodies and they become more self-aware. They know what's about to happen. They handle that change. They have more confidence. Confidence drops tremendously as kids go through puberty because they don't know and they don't know what's ahead. So let them know. And while you're doing this, normalize normal. Everybody goes through puberty. Everybody goes through these struggles in their own unique way. So I think it's really important. But being an advocate for themselves and being able to care for themselves, it really leads to respecting themselves and their bodies. So I think that's real important.
Absolutely.
And the conversations that get older, this is a really cool part of it is, they can get this information from just about anywhere, right? But when you start to talking about deeper topics or dives on topics, while you're talking about this, you get to weave in your family's beliefs and values. Nobody else can do that from you. So if you do outsource these topics to Girlology or anything else, just please make sure you take the time to talk about what your beliefs and values are amongst your culture and your family. I think that's really, really important.
So I'm going to just ask you a quick question too, because I think some of our families who are listening or watching may not feel comfortable asking this, but what do you think about proactively talking? Don't you think that that might somehow make them think about it more or do things that they're not obviously ready to do? I mean, sometimes that does come up as a concern or maybe a myth.
It's a very common concern, and there's research that backs it that says it does not make them act out in any way or think about it more. If anything, it settles their mind to understand what's ahead and what's normal. So, like the HPV vaccine we deal with all the time, people think I can't get a sex vaccine. No, it's a vaccine that it treats a type of cancer, So please, you don't put ideas in your kid's head. You're actually educating them so they will make better decisions down the road. So I think that's a great myth, we will say, right?
Yep. Yep. And I love that you said, even though they may quote outsource to doing a girlology class or workshop, it's always so important to still have those conversations because you get to interweave your values and only you can
Absolutely.
do that. I love that. So thanks for bringing that up specifically. So I think I know the answer to this question, Dr. Trish, but should we teach all kids about periods and erections then?
This is a tough question. And, we struggle with it too. When we first started out, we had girlology over here and guyology over here. And so what we've learned though, that everybody needs to understand that everybody goes through puberty and it's in their own unique process. I think it's important that if girls can understand that guys have weird things like erections and ejaculations, they struggle with periods. And if guys learn about periods, then there's so much less teasing. So teasing becomes more immature. And if they understand each other, it really teaches respect for each other. And sometimes out of that respect comes empathy. And we all need a little more empathy these days in our lives. So I think it's really important for kids to learn the process that everybody goes through so they understand that it's a struggle for everybody. But what we've also learned is we started putting we have a class called Science of Reproduction where we teach truly the science of reproduction. And we put the boys and girls in together. We piloted about 2 years ago. And the parents, thank you for trusting us on this. We were scared to death. The kids were so comfortable. They didn't care. They're used to sitting in classrooms, but the parents were a little nervous. But what we learned is that if kids can learn about body changes together, they're going to communicate much better down the road and advocate for their own bodies and boundaries. And you can also start having conversations around consent. So it's really cool if they learn how to communicate with each other and understand each other's bodies. So yes, everybody needs to learn about everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great segue to talking about what's up for you guys and what's next. What books do you have and platforms? Because I'm so grateful to have you on the show. I'll just say that again because your app your app and your platform have so much information. So can we talk about that? Because if people are like, okay, I'm ready, but I need some good resources. Let's talk about where to go for those and then what's next for Girlology.
Okay, so our website is girlology.com. We have, as I mentioned, over 500 in the moment support tips for parents. We have about 20 classes, from our puberty classes, science of reproduction. We have skincare, hygiene, anxiety. We just have all kind of different classes that we really want you to watch with your child, because that you both will learn, and it will hopefully spark conversations outside of that class. We think it's really important. And we do, as I mentioned, these downloadable printables that you can leave out on the dining room table if you want to. What's a normal period, puberty timeline, all these things, and they really will spark some conversations. Some of you will have kids that do not want to talk to you about this, and that's just their reaction to bodies. But I promise you they are listening, so do not give up. And so a lot of times, if you print out some of these downloadables to have them look at it, they can handle it on their own a little bit better than you being in the room with them. So we all have different kids with different personalities. I totally get that. Totally get that. And then we have Girlology TVs, which I absolutely love doing, because I get to take deeper dives with experts, and those run every 2 weeks as well. But yeah, you can check out our programs, check out our puberty classes. We are happy for you to outsource to us. We are both physicians. We're both moms, so we get it. And we just want to make sure that kids get the information they need, because it's a scary world out there, and pornography doesn't have all the answer for our kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I will say, can I just share like my own observations? I think this is one of the only classes, or that kids take with their parent or trusted adult. And even though it can be very uncomfortable at times for some kids or even some parents, it really does at the end of the 2 hours. Like, I've seen this happen time and again when I've done these workshops. Like, these kids are so engaged, they're asking questions. Whereas, like, at the beginning, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I can't even believe that I'm here. And, we're talking about these words, and they're like, ah. And by the end of it, they come out like with this smile. And it's just such a awesome transformation in that 2 hours. And then the language that you use really does like solidify the fact that, yes, this is a one-time class here, but your mom or whoever brought you here wants to keep talking to you.
yeah.
So that messaging is so important.
And I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because that's part of the best part, is when you go in, the kids are like, oh my God. And by the end, they're grabbing our vulva puppets and our uterus pillow, and they're slinging tampons over their head. They're like, this would be a great Christmas tree ornament. So it's amazing how much comfort you can establish in that time. And I think a lot of it is that it's a healthcare provider or physicians that are leading this program. So you get this immediate trust of the parents, which we appreciate so much. But yes, we get a lot of comments afterwards, because our delivery is medically accurate words, information. We don't cringe when we talk about it. We don't change the words out. It's just, we just put it out there on the table. So.
And Dr. Trish, can I ask you, can you kind of just walk the viewers through, you have your Something New About You class, like what the ages are and the different ones available?
So we kind of have a little bit of, parents want something pre-puberty. So we do have a class called Prepared for Puberty that you can watch with your daughter if they're almost on the cusp of puberty. When they're at the very beginning, Something New About You is the best program. We usually say 4th grade. And then we really think it's important to teach your kids reproduction, the science, the plumbing of reproduction around the 5th grade, because, they hear about it in the 3rd grade on the playground. And if you can be the first person to teach them about this before they get those wrong imagery or the gross messages around sex, you're definitely going to be the go-to person for them. So I know some parents are like going, I got to talk about sex by 5th grade. I promise it's just the science of reproduction. They learn the science of respiratory system, circulatory system. So it's really cool. And then our other classes, we have a sexually transmitted infection class. We have an anxiety class. A lot of those are based early middle school. We have a brand new class called BU, which I absolutely love. It's all about media literacy, body image, all things that middle school kids, a lot about gender expression and identity and things like that. So if you click on class in the top of on our search filter, it'll list all the classes out, and see, we have some on hygiene. Vaginal discharge, we've got it.
Yeah. I love it. And I love the fact that your platform is so flexible where you can just keep adding and doing all these updates because the class that you just mentioned, I hadn't even known about that yet. So that's really incredible.
When we say parents know best, right? You know your child and what level they are on. And so we can give you a recommendation of when we think it should be taught.
Hmm.
But as a mom or a parent, sometimes you may want to skip to this class or this class. But we do have a roadmap, or like we've left it by levels. So if you have a fourth grader, click on our fourth grade roadmap and it'll actually give you the programs and the classes that we feel are appropriate for that age group. So we've got a lot of content, and we're just trying to make it easier for parents to navigate our website. So we have separated it into grade levels to make it a little bit easier for you.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for all the work that you do. If you have any questions, those of you watching, please pop them in now because we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. But I do want to ask you, Dr. Trish, um, I know that you have a couple books too. Let's talk
Yes.
about that.
So we were in the process of updating our puberty books. Again, very binary, Girlology and Guyology. And Melissa, my partner, we just said, girls need to learn about guys, guys need to learn about girls. So let's all put it together because everybody needs to learn about breast and periods and erections to be more empathetic and supportive of each other. So we were in the process of updating these books to one that talks about all bodies. And we were approached by the American Academy of Pediatrics to actually help them because they were approached by our third team member on the Youology team for our new book by Dr. Catherine Lowe.
Mm.
And she wanted to write a book that included all gender identities. So the team, the three of us, it was a great COVID project, a lot of fun. We don't have boys on one half, girls on the other. I have a copy of it right here. There it is.
Oh,
Youology. Is that good?
no, I can't see it. There we go. There we
There
go.
we
Yes.
go. So, we have breast and chest, we have Hello Harry, our topics include everybody in every chapter. So there's not a chapter for boys or not a chapter for girls. We kind of put it all together. So it's fun. Puberty gear, we talk about curiosity and healthy habits and hygiene as well. So that will be out April 19th. We're really, really excited about it. I would say the age range for that could be as early as 8 for some girls up to about 12 to 13 through that puberty timeline. But I
Mhm.
hope you guys will check it out. It was a fun project to write.
Oh, absolutely. I will be sharing that widely as soon as it's available. And then I guess I'm going to just ask this question. I mean, do you recommend that parents, like, do you buy it and then give it to your child? Do you read it chapter by chapter out loud? Like, how would you recommend that?
That is a great question. And we get that quite often because they're like, most parents say, can I just give them the book? That's all they want to do. They're done. But what we recommend is if all kids learn different ways and have different personalities. If you have a child that's really excited and wants to sit and spend couch time with you, read it with them, please, because they know that you are there if they have questions to come up. Now, if you have a child that does the hand and says, no way, you can hand them the book, but first read it yourself, because that way you can actually let them know. They'll go like, oh my God, my mom did read this, didn't she? And you can actually, after each chapter, you could think of some fun activities that you can do that doesn't necessarily have to do, like have a scavenger hunt to look for hygiene care, or go to Target or Walmart and look at menstrual hygiene products or deodorants, or,
Mhm.
just think of things to do after each section chapter. But we, as a mom and a pediatrician, I would appreciate if you learn it together in some way, shape, or form, not just handing them the book.
Yeah, I love that. And do you have any words of wisdom for like those times when mom is trying to start that conversation, but the kids are like, no, 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 I don't want to talk about it. Like, do you have any like words of wisdom there?
Just don't give up. I'll tell you, the reactions we've seen in our class, we've had kids pass out. We've had kids that laugh and you think it's inappropriately, but that's the way they handle their anxious feelings. We've had kids break down in tears, and we've had the storm out major cat fight because they just didn't want to be there. So I want you to think about your kid's personality before you approach them with this, and think of a way. But I always say humor helps tremendously. And if you can be lighthearted and add some humor to it, and just make it exciting, that's one of those things when you unpack your baggage, you may be going, oh, I got to talk about puberty. You're going to get your period and zits and breast buds. But, puberty is an amazing time when kids become adults, and they're able to have a baby one day if they decide to. So if you go in it with that reaction of, puberty is really exciting. My kids look at me like, Mom, really? But if you try to be excited like that, it may actually help. So again, unpack your baggage, come at it at a different angle. And one thing I will say, if your kids are pushing you away, as kids go through puberty, they become more modest. And so please respect your kids' need for privacy. If they don't want you in the bedroom anymore, or the bathroom, not before you enter, and do not force yourself into the changing room when they're trying on clothes somewhere. It's just really important to respect their privacy through the stage as well.
Yes, so important. Thank you for that reminder. So, I had such a great time chatting with you today. I mean, again, I can just tell your passion, your dedication, your mission for doing this. And again, thank you for allowing those of us girlologists to kind of help spread the word because it is such a fun program. So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate y'all out there spreading the word as well.
Well, you heard it here. Head over to girlology.com. I'm going to throw that up here one more time. And then the new book is coming out April 19th everywhere on Amazon
Yes.
and all of that. And then currently their other books are still
Other
available.
puberty books, and they're on Amazon,
Yep.
Girlology and Guyology. Yes, you can find those there.
Great. So please check that out and follow them on social media and tune in. When is your next Girlology TV?
I have
episode?
one next Wednesday, and I'm actually talking to a pediatrician about herbs and supplements with teens.
Awesome.
A third of teens use them, but are they worth their money? So come back, and we're going to talk about all those herbs and supplements.
Awesome. And that's on the Facebook Girlology
Yes,
page. Okay.
absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I hope you guys will all tune in. And then I just want to let you guys know that next week, my guest is going to be Dr. Tolu Alugo, who will be chatting with me about eating disorders, another important topic that I don't think we get a lot of airtime on. So, and if you have any other suggestions for other topics or guests, please feel free to email me at drnarissa@letstalkkidshealth.org. Follow me on all my social media platforms or just message me there because I'm everywhere. And then I will look at that. And I would love to bring any topic or guests onto the show. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys all next week and be safe. All right. Thanks, Trish.
Thank you. Enjoy.